There comes a time in every person's life when they feel something stirring deep inside, a restlessness, a quiet nudge, a voice that whispers, "You were made for more." That's not your imagination, that's the giant within you, your potential, your power, your true self, waiting to be awakened. Many of us go through life asleep, not physically, but mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. We settle for less than we deserve, suppress our dreams, and silence our deepest desires because we've been taught to play small, to avoid failure, to blend in. But I'm here to tell you the time for playing small is over. The world doesn't need another copy. It needs you fully awake, fully alive, unapologetically bold. That sleeping giant within you is not some mythical thing. It is your courage, your brilliance, your passion, your grit. It is your ability to rise after failure, to lead when others hesitate, and to speak truth when silence is safer. We live in a world that often conditions us to doubt ourselves. From a young age, many of us are told what we can't do more than what we can. We are handed limitations disguised as advice, expectations cloaked in fear, and roles that restrict us instead of release us. Over time, these external messages begin to shape our inner dialogue. We stop dreaming big. We second-guess our instincts. We bury our wildest aspirations deep under the weight of being realistic. But here's the truth. Your potential doesn't disappear. It doesn't die. It waits, silently, patiently. Like a giant in slumber, the giant within you. Your deepest power isn't found in the approval of others, in titles, or in outward success. It's found in the possibility of who you can become. Every human being has untapped reservoirs of talent, strength, creativity, and intelligence that remain unused simply because we never take the time to look within. Recognizing your potential starts with the willingness to believe that you are more than your current circumstances. It requires self-awareness, it requires reflection, it requires the courage to see yourself not just as you are, but as you could be. Too often, we confuse potential with perfection. We think if we don't have it all figured out, we must not have what it takes. But potential doesn't mean you're already at the top of your game. It means the capacity to grow, to transform, to rise. A seed doesn't look like a tree, but the tree is already inside it. You may not feel powerful yet. You may not see evidence of greatness yet. But that doesn't mean it's not there. Recognizing potential is about understanding that greatness is not about what you have. It's about what you're capable of building. Self-doubt is the enemy of potential. Every time you say, "I'm not good enough," you deny the truth of who you really are. And who you are is not someone weak or incapable. You are someone with infinite room for growth. You may have failed, you may have been rejected, you may have struggled, but that is not the full story of you. Your setbacks are not proof of your limits. They are reminders that growth requires effort and evolution. If anything, they're a sign that your potential is being tested, not eliminated. There is a version of you that is stronger, wiser, more focused, and more resilient. But you won't meet that version if you're constantly looking down on yourself. You must lift your head, look into the mirror, and not just see what's wrong, but what's possible. The power of recognizing your potential lies in making a mental shift from "why me" to "why not me?" When you change the way you see yourself, you change what becomes available to you. Suddenly, what once felt impossible becomes inevitable. Recognizing your potential doesn't require grand gestures. It starts small. It's in the moments when you keep going when you could give up. It's in the way you choose to speak kindly to yourself instead of harshly. It's in every risk you take, every boundary you break, and every time you say, "I'm willing to try." Each small decision in favor of growth adds fuel to the sleeping giant within you. And with each action, that giant stirs, becoming more and more awake. You must also understand that your potential is unique. Comparison kills clarity. What you're capable of may not look like someone else's journey, and that's okay. The moment you stop measuring yourself against others and start measuring yourself against your own capacity for growth, everything shifts. You're not here to be someone else. You're here to become yourself, fully and unapologetically. The more you own that, the more you awaken what lies dormant inside. Finally, recognizing your potential is not a one-time act. It's a practice, a commitment, a decision you make every day. There will be days when you feel small, days when the giant feels distant, but if you keep choosing to believe in yourself, especially when it's hardest, you begin to create momentum, and that momentum is what eventually turns possibility into power. You don't need to be fearless to awaken your potential. You just need to believe, even if it's only a flicker, and that flicker will one day become a fire. Every human being is born with limitless potential, but not every human being lives like it. Why? Because somewhere along the journey of life, we absorb beliefs that don't belong to us. We inherit fears from others. We internalize criticism. We let a few painful moments define us. And over time, these beliefs become the invisible walls of our minds, walls that block the giant within from ever rising. Limiting beliefs are not facts. They're stories we've told ourselves or been told by others. But just because a story has been repeated doesn't mean it's true. These beliefs often sound like quiet whispers. I'm not smart enough. People like me don't succeed. It's too late for me. I always mess things up. And the more we hear them, the more they start to feel like truth. But here's the catch: limiting beliefs aren't based on who you are. They're based on who you were, or worse, who someone else said you were. They are outdated versions of your identity, forged in moments of fear, rejection, or misunderstanding. They are lies that became habits. You must understand that your beliefs shape your behavior, and your behavior shapes your results. If you believe you're not worthy of success, you'll subconsciously sabotage your progress. If you believe you'll always fail, you'll avoid even trying, and the saddest part, you'll never know what you were truly capable of, not because you lacked ability, but because you let a belief hold you hostage. That's how powerful the mind is. It can either imprison you or liberate you, depending on what you choose to believe. Breaking free from limiting beliefs starts with awareness. You cannot change what you do not recognize. Begin by listening to your self-talk. Pay attention to the way you speak about yourself when no one is around. Would you say those things to someone you love? If not, why do you say them to yourself? Notice the patterns. Do you often expect failure before even starting? Do you immediately assume you're not enough when challenged? These internal dialogues are clues to the beliefs that need to be dismantled. Once identified, challenge these beliefs head on. Ask yourself, where did this belief come from? Is it rooted in truth or in fear? What evidence do I have that contradicts it? More often than not, you'll find that these beliefs are based on isolated incidents, outdated opinions, or childhood wounds. They are not reflections of your current reality. You are no longer that fearful child, that misunderstood student, or that broken soul. You are evolving, and evolving means letting go of beliefs that no longer serve you. Replace the lies with truth. You do this by consciously affirming new, empowering beliefs. Say to yourself, I am capable of change. I am worthy of success. I am learning and growing every day. These aren't just feel-good phrases. They are mental reprogramming. Just as negative beliefs can be ingrained through repetition, so can positive ones. Train your mind to think in alignment with your goals, not against them. And when you slip back into doubt, which you will, Don't shame yourself. Correct yourself gently, consistently, repeatedly. Also, recognize that the world often reinforces your limiting beliefs until you start pushing back. People may say, be realistic, stay safe, or don't aim too high. They may mean well, but remember, no one else is responsible for your growth. Most people speak from the limits of their own imagination. If you're waiting for the world to validate your new beliefs, you'll be waiting forever. Instead, you must be the first to believe in the possibility of your transformation. And when you do, the world eventually catches up. Freeing yourself from limiting beliefs is not about becoming fearless. It's about becoming aware. It's about understanding that the giant within you isn't asleep because you lack strength, but because you've been told not to trust it. But now you're learning to think differently. You're learning to see possibility where there once was doubt. And slowly, steadily, with every thought you rewire, the giant stirs, stretches, and begins to awaken. Fear is a natural part of life, but it often feels unnatural when it stands between us and our dreams. It creeps in at the moment of decision, whispers in our ear when we consider taking a risk, and wraps itself around our ambition, slowly suffocating it. Most people don't fail because they aren't capable. They fail because they let fear talk them out of trying. But here's a truth that many people overlook. Fear isn't the enemy. Fear is a signal. It's not telling you to stop. It's telling you that you're entering territory that matters. Every time you feel fear, especially when it's tied to growth, opportunity, or challenge, you're standing on the threshold of transformation. The giant within you knows this. That's why it stirs every time you feel nervous before speaking up, uncertain before making a big decision, or hesitant before stepping into something new. The presence of fear is not a sign of weakness. It's a sign that something important is happening. It's not the fear that holds you back. It's the avoidance of it. The giant within you begins to awaken the moment you stop running and start facing what scares you. The problem is that we've been taught to avoid fear at all costs. We've associated fear with danger, with failure, with humiliation. But fear is often none of those things. Most of the fears we carry are psychological, not physical. They are fears of judgment, rejection, or not being enough. These are invisible walls, barriers of the mind, not real threats. When you avoid them, they grow stronger. But when you face them, something incredible happens. They begin to shrink. Fear feeds on avoidance. It weakens in the light of direct action. Think about the most courageous people you admire. They are not fearless. They are action takers despite their fear. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is the mastery of it. It is the decision to walk forward even with trembling hands and a racing heart. Facing fear doesn't mean you won't feel it. It means you've decided that your growth is more important than your comfort. Every time you step into fear, you're telling your inner giant, I trust you. I'm ready. That trust builds confidence. And that confidence builds momentum. Facing fear head on means learning how to sit with discomfort. It's about letting yourself feel the nerves, the uncertainty, the awkwardness, without letting it control you. This is where emotional resilience is born. You begin to realize that fear is just a feeling, not a fact. You can feel it without obeying it. You can experience it without surrendering your power. The moment you stop trying to get rid of fear and instead choose to move with it, you begin to regain control over your life. One of the most effective ways to disarm fear is to break it down, instead of saying, I'm afraid to fail. Ask yourself, what would failure really look like? What would I learn from it? How would I recover? When you dissect your fears, you take away their mystery. You expose them to logic and reason. Most fears lose their grip once they're unpacked. The unknown always looks scarier than the known, but once you shine a light on it, it often reveals opportunities for growth that were hidden behind the shadows. It's also important to remember that fear can be a guide. It points you toward the areas of life where you have room to expand. The very thing you fear may be the next step in your evolution. Public speaking, starting a business, ending a toxic relationship, pursuing a dream, all of these come wrapped in fear. And yet, on the other side of that fear lies freedom, power, and self-respect. The question is not whether fear will show up. It will. The real question is whether you will keep shrinking in its presence or rise to meet it with courage. The moment you choose to face fear instead of flee from it, you take your power back. You stop letting fear drive the car of your life and instead put it in the back seat where it belongs. You don't need fear to disappear. You need to move forward anyway. Every bold step you take chips away at the mental chains that have held your potential hostage. Each confrontation with fear sends a clear message to the giant within. It's safe to wake up now. I'm ready to lead. And when that message is heard, everything begins to shift. If motivation is the spark that starts the engine, self-discipline is the fuel that keeps it running. Too many people rely on fleeting bursts of inspiration to drive their actions, but true transformation, lasting growth, comes from consistency, and consistency is born from discipline. The sleeping giant within you isn't awakened by hype, excitement, or good intentions alone. It rises when you commit to doing what needs to be done, even when you don't feel like doing it. Discipline is the quiet, unglamorous force behind every great achievement. Discipline is not about punishment, it's about freedom. It may sound contradictory, but it's true. The more disciplined you are, the freer you become. When you are disciplined, you are no longer a slave to impulses, distractions, or emotions. You don't wait for the perfect mood or the ideal conditions. You act. You execute, you follow through. This ability to do what is necessary, especially when it's uncomfortable, separates those who talk about their dreams from those who live them. Discipline is how the giant within you proves it's real. Developing discipline starts with small, intentional choices. It's not about overhauling your entire life overnight. It's about making a decision and keeping your word to yourself, again and again. If you say you'll wake up at 6 a.m., do it. If you commit to reading a book, read it. If you tell yourself you're going to work out, show up for yourself. These simple acts are not trivial. Each one is a message to your inner self. I am in control. I can be trusted. I follow through. That's how discipline grows, from repetition, not from grand declarations. But discipline is hard. It requires a level of self-respect that's uncomfortable to cultivate. It demands that you push past excuses, that you override laziness, that you reject instant gratification in favor of long-term success. You will not always feel like working, learning, showing up, or sacrificing. And that's exactly when discipline becomes your most powerful ally. The difference between those who awaken their inner giant and those who let it sleep is this: the disciplined act according to values, the undisciplined act according to feelings. A key part of building discipline is designing your environment for success. Your habits are not just about willpower, they are about structure. Create routines, eliminate distractions, surround yourself with reminders of who you want to become. If you're trying to write a book, set up a daily time and space to write. If you want to get fit, schedule your workouts like appointments. Don't leave it to chance. Make it hard to fail and easy to follow through. Discipline is not just a mindset. It's a strategy, a system, and a lifestyle. It also helps to remember your why. Discipline without purpose becomes burnout, but discipline rooted in meaning becomes empowerment. When you connect your efforts to a larger vision, when you remember why you're waking up early, saying no to temptations, or sacrificing comfort, it becomes easier to persist. Your why fuels your will. Every drop of sweat, every delayed gratification, every hard choice becomes an investment in a future you believe in, and that belief is what keeps the giant within you hungry and alert. Discipline must also be paired with self-compassion. You will slip, you will miss days, you will make mistakes, but discipline is not about perfection. It's about returning. When you fall off track, don't quit. Realign, reset, refocus. The disciplined are not those who never fail. They are those who get back up faster. Resilience and discipline go hand in hand. The more you bounce back from failure with renewed commitment, the more unstoppable you become. You're not building a perfect record. You're building a powerful rhythm. As your self-discipline grows, so does your self-worth. There's a quiet confidence that comes from keeping promises to yourself. You no longer need to prove your value to anyone. You know who you are because you've earned your own respect. You've trained your mind, sharpened your focus, and earned your progress one disciplined decision at a time. And each day you stay the course, the giant within you gets stronger, more focused, and more prepared to take on the world. Not by chance, but by choice. Purpose is the compass that gives direction to your life. Without it, you drift. You wake up, go through the motions, meet expectations, and check boxes, but something inside feels hollow. You may be successful by external standards, but internally, there's a nagging sense that something is missing. That something is purpose. It's what brings clarity to chaos and meaning to the mundane. It's the fire that gives life to your goals and the fuel that energizes your inner giant. Purpose is not just about what you do, it's about why you do it. Everyone has a purpose, though not everyone uncovers it. Many people never pause long enough to ask the deep questions. What matters most to me? What impact do I want to have? What legacy do I want to leave behind? The answers to these questions are not always immediate or obvious. They often require soul, searching, reflection, and silence. But once you begin to ask them honestly, you start to awaken a part of you that has been waiting to live with meaning. Purpose is already within you. It just needs to be uncovered and embraced. Living without purpose is like running on a treadmill. You're constantly moving, but going nowhere. You can be busy but still unfulfilled, productive but still unsatisfied. Purpose gives you direction. It aligns your daily actions with your deepest values. When you know your purpose, even the hard days have meaning. Even the struggles feel worthwhile. Purpose doesn't remove the pain. It gives the pain a reason. And when the giant within senses that there's a mission, a cause, a calling, it begins to rise with urgency and power. Purpose is what transforms effort into devotion. When you're connected to something bigger than yourself, you don't just work hard, you work with heart. You show up with intensity. You push through obstacles with greater resilience. It's no longer about just achieving success, it's about fulfilling a mission. People who live with purpose are not easily swayed or discouraged because they are grounded in a powerful why. They know who they are, they know what they're fighting for, and that clarity becomes their armor. It's important to understand that your purpose doesn't have to be some grand, world-changing vision. It can start small. It might be to raise strong children, to create art that inspires, to serve your community, to heal others, or to be a voice for the voiceless. Purpose is not about scale, it's about alignment. Are you living in a way that reflects your true values? Are you giving your energy to what matters most? When you align your life with your values, you step into integrity, and integrity is where the giant within stands tall. Often, the clues to your purpose lie in your past, in your pain, your passion, your unique perspective. What have you overcome that shaped you? What problems in the world bother you the most? What activities make you lose track of time? What do people often come to you for? Your life experiences are not random. They are often the blueprint to your calling. Don't ignore what you've lived through. Your story may hold the exact ingredients needed to serve others in a way only you can, and that service becomes a part of your purpose. Once you tap into your purpose, you must protect it. The world is full of distractions, endless noise trying to pull you away from what truly matters. You'll be tempted to compare, to conform, to chase status or validation. But none of those things satisfy the soul the way purpose does. Stay focused. Reconnect daily with your why. Remind yourself that your purpose is not a trend, it's a truth. It's your anchor when life gets stormy, your North Star when the path gets unclear. And when you stay anchored, your inner giant stays grounded and alert. Purpose is powerful because it gives everything else context. Your time, your energy, your discipline, your decisions, they all begin to revolve around what truly matters. You no longer just exist, you live. You no longer chase approval, you chase meaning, and that sense of meaning awakens the giant not just for your sake, but for the sake of those you are meant to influence. Because once you know your purpose, you realize something profound. The giant within you was never meant to rise just for you. It rises so you can lift others too. No matter how strong, disciplined, or talented you are, your environment will influence your outcome. The people around you are not just companions in your life. They are contributors to your mindset, your energy, and your sense of possibility. If you spend your time with those who are complacent, negative, or afraid to grow, that mindset will eventually bleed into your own. But if you surround yourself with dreamers, doers, builders, and believers, those who challenge you and push you forward, the giant within you won't just awaken, it will thrive. We are social creatures by design, and whether we realize it or not, we absorb the attitudes, habits, and standards of those closest to us. It's not always conscious. You start to adopt their language, echo their beliefs, mirror their work ethic, or lack of it. If your circle scoffs at ambition, mocks growth, or downplays your progress, you may start questioning your dreams instead of chasing them. It's difficult to rise when your surroundings constantly pull you down. That's why choosing the right people isn't a luxury, it's a necessity. Surrounding yourself with the right people doesn't mean cutting everyone off the moment they disagree with you. It means being intentional. Who inspires you, who sharpens you, who celebrates your growth without feeling threatened by it. The right people don't compete with your rise, they contribute to it. They hold you accountable, not to shame you, but to remind you of your greatness. They see the giant inside you even when you forget it's there. And sometimes their belief in you becomes the bridge between your hesitation and your action. It's important to have people in your life who are ahead of you in some way. Mentors, role models, those who have walked the path and can guide you with wisdom. These people expand your perspective. They normalize greatness. They show you what's possible. Their very presence is proof that the next level is real and reachable. But equally important are the peers who are in the grind with you, the ones who understand the daily struggle, who challenge you to keep pushing, and who hold your vision when your strength falters. You also need to audit the voices in your life. Not just the people you talk to daily, but the content you consume, the media you follow, and the stories you allow into your mind. Everything you let in is either building your mindset or breaking it down. Be ruthless in protecting your focus. The giant within you feeds on inspiration, learning, growth, and accountability. It weakens in the presence of gossip, cynicism, and mediocrity. Don't underestimate the power of influence. It can either awaken or numb your potential. Sometimes choosing the right people means letting go of the wrong ones, and that's not easy. Loyalty, history, or guilt can make us hold on to relationships that no longer serve who we're becoming, but growth often requires separation. You are not betraying others by evolving. You are honoring your future. It doesn't mean you love them less. It means you love yourself enough to move forward, and in some cases your evolution may even inspire others to rise with you. But it begins with the courage to choose what's right over what's familiar. In the company of the right people, accountability becomes empowerment. You no longer have to carry the weight of your dreams alone. You're part of a tribe, a team, a support system that understands the language of ambition. You exchange ideas, energy, and encouragement. You rise together, and when the inevitable setbacks come, you're not left in isolation. You're lifted by those who remind you of your strength. There is power in community, and that power becomes the wind beneath the wings of the giant within. Ultimately, the people you choose to walk with will either quicken or quiet the voice of the giant inside you. They will either say you can't or you must. They will either see your growth as a threat or a triumph. Choose wisely, because the path to awakening your full potential is hard enough. You don't need doubters in your ear. You need believers at your back, people who remind you with their words and with their lives that greatness is not only possible, it's expected, and in their company your inner giant begins to rise with conviction and courage. Action is the heartbeat of transformation. Without it, all the clarity, confidence, and courage in the world amount to little more than untapped potential. The giant within you doesn't awaken because you think about change. It awakens when you act on it. Too many people are stuck in the planning phase of life. They wait for perfect timing, for better circumstances, for more confidence. But action is what creates clarity. Action is what builds confidence. You don't move forward when you feel ready. You move forward, and that's how you become ready. Relentless action is not occasional effort. It's consistent, decisive movement in the direction of your purpose. It means showing up every single day with the resolve to make progress, no matter how small. It means not letting emotions, opinions, or obstacles dictate your behavior. It's not glamorous. It's often quiet. It's writing the next page, making the next call, taking the next step, even when no one is watching, even when the results aren't immediate. Relentless action is the silent language of those who are serious about changing their lives. One of the greatest lies we tell ourselves is that we need more information before we begin. But knowledge without application is just potential energy. You can read every book, attend every seminar, and talk about your goals endlessly, but none of that means anything without execution. You don't need to know everything. You need to start doing something. Even the smallest action moves you closer to momentum, and once momentum is on your side, the giant within you starts to move with greater force and focus. Of course, action is uncomfortable. It requires you to confront fear, embrace risk, and break through inertia. That's why most people avoid it. They choose comfort over movement, procrastination over progress. But the pain of inaction is far more corrosive than the pain of effort. Inaction leads to regret, stagnation, and self-doubt. It's not failure that kills dreams, it's the decision not to try. When you choose action, even imperfect action, you create a pattern of growth. Each act builds resilience. Each move feeds the giant inside you. Relentless action also teaches you. It reveals what works and what doesn't. You refine your skills, deepen your understanding, and adapt more quickly than those stuck in thought alone. Action invites feedback, and feedback sharpens your edge. You stop being a passive observer of your life and become an active architect of it. You realize that every step, even the missteps, are part of the building process. The path doesn't have to be flawless. It just has to be traveled. Relentless action is about movement, not perfection. Another key to relentless action is eliminating the luxury of excuses. Excuses are subtle forms of self-sabotage. They sound logical, even reasonable, but they always point away from progress. You'll hear yourself say things like, "I'm too tired," "I don't have time," or "I'll start tomorrow." But tomorrow isn't promised, and time isn't found, it's made. If something matters to you, you make room for it. Period. People who awaken their inner giant don't give their energy to excuses. They give it to execution. Taking relentless action also means being willing to do what others won't. It means staying up a little later, waking up a little earlier, stretching yourself beyond what feels comfortable. It's writing one more chapter, making one more connection, reviewing one more strategy. The giant within you responds to that level of commitment, not because you're trying to prove something to others, but because you're proving to yourself that you are serious about your own transformation. That intensity is what separates the dreamers from the doers. Ultimately, relentless action is an act of self-respect. It says, "My future matters enough to fight for. My goals matter enough to work for. My life matters enough to build deliberately." You stop waiting to be rescued and start taking full ownership of your direction. Every action you take sends a message to your mind and spirit. I am in motion. I am capable. I am committed. And when you live like that consistently, the sleeping giant within you has no choice but to rise, and once it does, nothing can stand in its way. The giant within you is not a myth. It is not a distant fantasy or a poetic metaphor. It is real, it is fierce, it is capable, but it will not awaken through mere wishes or shallow hopes. It will awaken only through a decision to rise, to grow, to act, and to refuse to live one more day beneath your true potential. You don't need permission to become who you were meant to be. The world doesn't need another version of someone else. It needs you, the real you, the bold, focused, driven version of you who dares to break patterns, silence fear, and rise above excuses. The version of you who stops hiding behind distractions and steps boldly into purpose, discipline, and action. This giant, this power, this brilliance within you, it has been waiting for you to believe again, waiting for you to move with clarity, to surround yourself with strength, to take the steps you've been avoiding. It's been waiting for you to get honest about your potential and courageous enough to chase it with everything you've got. The moment you decide to stop settling, to stop shrinking, to stop doubting, that's the moment the giant within you will begin to stir. It won't happen all at once, but each day you show up, each choice you make, each challenge you overcome, it grows stronger. And soon what once felt impossible will become inevitable. So today I challenge you, stop sleeping on your greatness, stop delaying your dreams, stop dimming your light to make others comfortable. The world needs the fullness of who you are. Your family, your community, your future, they need that giant inside of you awake, alive, and unleashed. Stand up, step out, speak life into your goals, be relentless, be disciplined, be purpose-driven, and take action like your life depends on it. Because it does.